Hi, this is Ryan, and we're in Midtown Manhattan at the LGBT Expo here at the Marriage Expo with attorney at law Anthony M. Brown. Anthony, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing really good. We want to talk with you about marriage equality.
Yes.
Is this a hot topic here tonight?
It's a huge topic. Everybody wants to know what's going on in New York, what's going on in the country. In New York right now, we have a date scheduled for our highest court to hear a marriage case, which is very promising. New Jersey is coming up, Washington State, Connecticut. There's a momentum moving forward now, and within 2 years we're going to have 2 or 3 more states that have full marriage equality for gay and lesbian couples. It's really encouraging.
Anthony, I want to speak with you in depth about this, but right now we have our roaming reporter Rafael out on the floor talking to New Yorkers. We'll be back with you in a few talking about marriage equality.
Excellent.
Today we're at the Gay and Lesbian Expo.
Yes.
And what I'd like to know is, what do you feel about marriage equality, and how long do you think it'll take for marriage equality to become a reality amongst gay, lesbian, and transgendered people?
Well, that's a very interesting question. I think it's a question on everyone's mind right now. And I truly believe that we're heading in that direction, and that's going to happen eventually. It has to happen. There's just no other question, no other way to get there no other way to get to the future without addressing that issue.
Absolutely.
And I think that our country is torn by it right now, and it's going to take a while for that rift to be mended.
Gay people are just like non-gay people. You know, our relationships stay together and our relationships break up. It's very interesting to see some of the studies that the anti-equality opposition use saying that gay people don't have monogamous relationships or gay people don't have long-term relationships, when all of this is being judged in a world where our relationships have never been sanctioned and have never been protected. And if those relationships were protected and honored by society as a whole, I'm sure those numbers would fall directly in line with the numbers for non-gay people.
I think that everybody, including gay, straight, bi, everybody should have the right to be happy and get married. And these people that say, you know, that it's against the Constitution or things like that, I mean, what about the marriages that only last 24 hours? I mean, they're talking about straight marriage as such this institution that it's sacred and everything, but I think that gay people just, you know, deserve the same rights as regular straight people, and I just think it's ridiculous that people aren't allowed to be happy. I mean, when we have such other problems in the world, and marriage is about happiness and love, and I don't see how there can be such a problem with that.
Marriage equality had been working in the city for a very long time, doing outreach work, educational work. They recently have started a media event called where they do a march across the Brooklyn Bridge to City Hall every year. Okay. And that's become a very large media event. They had started very modestly something called the Same-Sex Wedding Expo on Long Island. And my law firm was there before I was with them. They actually went to this event and to advertise. When the wedding party decided to hook up with the marriage equality, we took that event into a nightclub downtown called Roxy here in Manhattan. And Ron Ben Israel, who's a very famous wedding cake designer, was our host and MC. We had people from all over, all the various different types of any kind of wedding-related businesses that were reaching out to the gay and lesbian community were there. I think we had about 30 to 40 vendors that year. But it was very highly produced. It was really beautiful inside. We got a lot of people, and it caught the attention of the RDP group, which produces the large LGBT Business Expo in the Javits Center. And that's been a mainstay for a long time. That gets thousands, 20,000 people, I think, go through that.
Let's talk about, you've got an expo within an expo.
Right.
There is the What Expo within the What Expo happening here.
We have actually 3 expos in one.
Okay.
We have the Gay Wedding Expo, which is an area where people who are recognizing we have a lot of same-sex marriages, a lot of commitments, and I know Connecticut, Vermont, Massachusetts, and this is the general area. But it really is, most folks, even if they're not going to have a legal, quote, wedding, they want to still. I just met a couple who's been together for 30 years.
Guys or girls?
Guys, 30 years.
Good going, guys.
Yes, and they wanted to just do something special. And it's a commitment ceremony, but you know what? It's traditional. They want flowers, they want cakes, they want honeymoons, they want a beautiful place, they want the clergy to do it. So it's just a traditional wedding with a little bit slightly different. It's a groom, bride, which is great.
Well, they reached out to us and they invited us, the Wedding Party and Marriage Equality, to bring that wedding expo into the larger business expo. So that first year, they gave us a dedicated space. We had our own color scheme. We designed the whole area differently. And we made this magical experience inside the wedding expo, or inside the larger business expo. That year, the media were all over us. All the media came to see the wedding expo. And it was great because this is becoming a hot button issue.
Is the Gay Marriage Expo telling the LGBT community to conform to heterosexual standards? Because we've got that group in our LGBT community that says, well, I don't want to do what the straight people are doing.
I guess it's everybody for themselves then. Everybody has the right to do whatever they want, whether they agree with it or not. But I have seen most of my friends who are gay, they really do want to see marriage. And I want to see it legal. I would like to, for them, you know, why not?
That's the question. Why
not?
You know, ever since, certainly ever since Hawaii, which was, you know, a long time ago in the early 90s, when the Hawaii State Supreme Court said you cannot deny marriage licenses to gay and lesbian people, well, that's when they went around the back door and they created a constitutional amendment. So that's why that didn't happen. And that was all in response. The Defense of Marriage Act that Clinton signed, oddly enough, was in response to the Hawaii decision, which was the very first court that dealt with the marriage issue. But then there started to be a groundswell, and then there started to be more and more people who were challenging the state laws. And then Massachusetts happened. Massachusetts happened right after the Lawrence v. Texas case. The Lawrence v. Texas case was a lambda case. It was the Texas sodomy law that tore down the Texas sodomy law, and it also reversed a decision from the 1980s called Bowers v. Hardwick, which was the most homophobic Supreme Court decision ever, which basically said gay people can be prosecuted for sodomy, but straight people don't have to be prosecuted for the exact same act. And I was working at Lambda when we briefed that case, and it was the most amazing thing to see that case, then the Massachusetts case. It created this entire understanding and realization of the possibility of marriage equality for gay and lesbian couples. That's why now 19 states have constitutional amendments. That's why everybody's sort of in this, you know, kerfuffle about trying to get people to either take a stand, yes, against marriage or no for marriage.
Is marriage something on your agenda, or is it just something you feel people have the right to do?
It's not on my agenda, but I feel that as an American citizen, I should have every right that my brother has to marry his girlfriend. I should be able to marry my partner.
Do you think that this is something that will change the way gay people in general feel about one another once this marriage equality comes through?
I would like to think that it would form a firmer relationship between gay couples. Give them a little more leverage.
What is it you think that will actually bring marriage equality to a reality?
I think just more people being more vocal and being more passionate about what they really believe in, and, you know, more demonstrations, because that seems to be what gets people's attentions. People have to unite.
So it's very interesting to see how all of this sort of was charted by the media's attention on that expo, that first year. And that first year was, I believe, in 2003. That was our first year in the Javits Center Expo. And it was an amazing success. It was an amazing success. My law firm was there again. For us, it's really been a very successful, as far as the business is concerned, it's been a very successful event. We always end up talking to people. And for me, success isn't necessarily judged by the number of clients you sign up. Success is judged by the number of people that you talk to and the number of people who understand and realize what they can and can't do to protect their relationship.
We're talking a lot about marriage equality. When do you think, Eric, that we will actually have equality in the framework under the name marriage?
When Bush isn't president anymore.
All right, so if we get a Democratic president, we'll just have gay marriage in less than 4 years?
It'll take a little while, even with a Democratic president. I mean, Clinton promised a lot of things which didn't give us either, but definitely we need a president who's much more friendly to our needs than Bush is.
So what do you think is the major driving force that is preventing marriage equality from moving forward?
The Midwest, the red states.
How so?
I think people who tend to fear what they don't understand. And in the red states, in the middle of America, in the deep south, they tend to have these ultra sort of religious ideals and doctrines where they really have no exposure or very minimal exposure to people of this culture or lifestyle. And I think that's really the fear of that is what's keeping them from voting Republican and voting to keep this type of thing illegal when it really shouldn't be. There's no reason for it.
So what do you think is holding back marriage equality?
Honestly, I don't want to offend anybody that may be Republican watching this, but it's the Republicans and the religious right.
So I'm going to ask you the obvious. We're here at the Gay and Lesbian Expo. What are your thoughts on homosexuality, Father?
God created everyone, and He created them for a reason. So, if God created you to be gay, then you're gay for a reason, and there's nothing wrong with it.
It's not like it was before when being gay was a really bad thing, when being gay was something that you could be blackmailed for. It wasn't like that anymore. I think that as more and more people start coming out, that adds another element to the awareness issue. I think another thing that's keeping marriage equality from hitting New York right now is a sense of political caution on the part of a number of elected officials. The Senate leader, Bruno, he's an obstacle at this point in time. He's definitely an obstacle. We also now are potentially looking at a Spitzer administration as governor in New York. Spitzer has actively come out in favor of legislation for marriage equality in New York. Now, whether that's going to go through all of the channels expediently or not, politics takes a long time, and it's all dependent on who's in, which position. So if we can sort of arrange the politics, get the right people in the right places, it can actually happen.
Actually, I'm surprised that in New York it's not a reality yet.
When do you think it might be?
I'm thinking it should have been yesterday. So I'm thinking it should be soon. I know we're doing a lot of lobbying. I know there's a lobbying day coming up. I'm not sure when that'll be. Empire State Pride Agenda, is that the name of them?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, they have they have the lobby kits, so you can always contact them for the lobby kit, and then go up there and try to speed up the process, because it should be soon. We should have been before Massachusetts.
Now, you say that marriage equality should have happened yesterday. What do you attribute to it not having happened yet?
In New York, I really don't know. I couldn't even imagine why, because it's such a simple and such a basic thing. It should be, it should be a right, there's no reason for us to be second-class citizens.
It's very, very interesting how short our memory span is. The whole issue of interracial marriage, from the 50s through the early 70s, the whole issue of interracial marriage, and I am certainly in no means equating the gay rights movement to the racial equality movement, because I think there are more differences than there are similarities, but the interracial marriage movement and the same-sex marriage movement are almost identical. The exact same things that were being said, the same religious justifications, the same faulty scientific studies, all of the same techniques were being used to say that white people should not marry black people. And it's incredible to look at the court opinions from that time and see the rhetoric that was being used by the judges in that time, and to look today and see that the exact same rhetoric is being used by the religious right to keep gay and lesbian people from marrying, or to keep our marriages from being recognized. We don't remember history in this country. And now we look back, just like you had said before, we look back and we think, oh my God, there was a time when black people couldn't marry white people? That's crazy. The same thing is going to happen. But it's interesting to see how similar that interracial marriage movement and the same-sex marriage movement is today. It took 19 years from when the first state Supreme Court in California said black people can marry white people to when the Supreme Court said, in a very aptly titled case called Loving versus Virginia, that black people could marry white people across the country. It was 19 years. If our struggle is going to be the same, then somewhere in 2022, maybe it'll be across the country.
I mean, like 50 years ago, probably, you know, like Afro-Americans were experiencing a lot of discrimination, and it probably couldn't have imagined that it had come so far in 50 years. I mean, I'm hoping that maybe in 50 years' time we'll say with the saying that this will all be like a distant memory, that like gay marriage is just like nobody even thinks about it anymore. But right now it's like a big issue. I can't see why it should be. You know, it's crazy. Two people want to marry each other. Why not let them do it?
So, Paul, what do you feel is the expected date that marriage equality will come around?
When does George Bush leave the White House?
I say it's only a matter of time. If other states are catching on, then, and you see it's not a big impact there's nothing wrong with it, then it's only a matter of time before everyone opens up their eyes and sees that it's acceptable, it's fine, there's nothing wrong with it, and they start catching on to like a trend.
Like 2010, right?
2010?
2010.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not too far, right?
Things take time.
Well, I would hope it was yesterday, but unfortunately there are powers that be in the state and in the federal government that are trying to make that not happen.
How soon do you think that marriage equality will become a reality?
Wow, I mean, we're closer than I think most people think. It's already started. Maybe a couple years, you know, but I believe that sooner or later it's all going to be everywhere.
If gay marriage ever becomes a possibility, will your church be able to perform ceremonies?
Yes, we do them now.
You do them now?
Yes, we have a picture of a couple that we married back last year, and they're sitting at our table now helping us.
Hi. I'm Rafael from New York. What's your name? Steve, and nice to meet you. Father Dennis just finished explaining that he married the both of you in his church.
Yes.
What year was that?
Last year.
Yeah, last year.
May 14th.
Congratulations. How long have you been a couple for?
7 years almost.
7 years? Yeah. And where do you both live? What part of the city?
Jackson Heights.
Jackson Heights seems to be the spot.
Yeah, it is the spot.
It's the spot,
it's
right?
The spot, yeah.
Yeah. You know, I'm trying to get real estate there, but it's becoming very pricey.
Yes, it is.
So how did it come to be that you both decided to get married after so many years? And
we love each other.
Fantastic. Is your family supportive of your marriage?
Very. Both our families were at the wedding.
Wow. That's fantastic.
His sisters, his brothers.
So when do you both feel, what date do you both feel marriage equality will actually become a reality?
I hope it was yesterday.
So soon.
What do you think the single most important thing is to make that reality occur? What's preventing it from happening?
Well, we need more gay people to get involved in politics. And once we all get involved in politics, we'll be able to push the senators or whatever to stop giving us promises and give us reality in what's going on. You know, because right now we're being deprived of a lot of things. Like, I'll give you an example. Right now, you know, I became very sick, okay, and I'm paying for my medical insurance. Why should I have to pay for my medical insurance when I should be able to go on his? Okay, I mean, that's one of the biggest issues right there.
Right. And an important one as well.
Right, very important.
Is there any sort of domestic partnership laws that could help you with the benefits?
None. None at this time.
So marriage would be a surefire way of having that happen.
Sure, and then if something should happen to me, my Social Security would go to him or vice versa. You know, whatever one would be the highest ones. I mean, there's so many different issues here that we're deprived of because we're not recognized as a legal couple, which is wrong because we pay taxes just like everybody else.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Congratulations, by the way. Could I come to your wedding?
Absolutely.
I'll be there.
Do you have a marriage aspiration? Do you see yourself as a newlywed?
Maybe one day. I think that would be great. I'd love to have a family, just like a lot of other people. So yes, that is an option that I want.
I want to go to your wedding. Julia Maresca, New York.
Invited.
So, are you in a partner relationship right now?
Yes, I am.
And do you ever plan on getting married with your partner?
We're hoping to, yes. We've just been talking about it.
So what are your thoughts on that? So do you foresee marriage equality something viable in the near future?
I hope that it is. I want to hope that it is. I think it's really important that equality does come, and actual equality, not, fake equality like they're trying to do.
What do you mean by what they're trying to do?
I think, you know, a complete marriage and not just, you know, the commitment type thing, or, you know, what the politicians are trying to do with giving us equal rights but not equal rights.
So you want the whole package?
The whole package, yes.
This is a big issue right now with Hillary Clinton because she has taken an outspoken stance against gay marriage. She has a little bit more wishy-washy support for civil unions, but at the moment she's against marriage equality.
What are your thoughts on Senator Hillary Rodham Clinton and her centrist attitude recently with marriage equality?
Well, I would like her, of course, to be able to speak her mind and say what she really feels. But unfortunately, the political reality is that centrists get elected. I'd much rather have someone like Hillary Clinton in office who, at least in her heart, does support this issue and has to sort of keep quiet about it to get elected than someone like George Bush, who's openly against it and who's going to take steps to hurt this issue.
Is there something she can do strategically, working within her group, to make it happen?
I think marriage tends to be a state-by-state issue. What she can do is make sure that when laws come up at a federal level, that obviously the party votes against them. But I think marriage equality in general tends to be more of a state issue. The states decide whether or not they want issues. So that war really has to be fought, I think, with the individual governors and individual legislative houses. But I think the real danger we have is if you have someone like George Bush who wants to now pass an amendment saying you can't do it, which would sort of prohibit everybody. That's the real danger. And I think having someone like Hillary Clinton in office who supports it quietly is better than not having someone who's publicly against it. And unfortunately, the reality is, I think if she comes out publicly for it, she's going to lose a lot of votes. And it's sort of one of the things where you make the noise and you have the right message, but at the end, you lose. And I don't think that's what serves everyone's interests in the best way.
There's a lot that people can do. Number one, dedicate 20 minutes of your week, just 20 minutes, to writing letters. Write letters to your elected officials. You can go online and do a Google search on location elected officials zip code. And bam, you'll get a list saying what state are you in, put your zip code in, it'll give you the name and address of your state representative, your state senator, your local representatives. Get all of this information and spend just 20 minutes a week and write a letter to that person. Tell them you're a member of the gay and lesbian community. Tell them you are someone who is a constituent. Tell them that you will do everything in your power to make sure that they are not reelected unless they support marriage equality in New York State. Let them know that you're not just saying this is what I want. Let them know you're saying I will do everything I can to get you out of office if you don't agree with me. Because all they're hearing right now are from the anti-equality opposition. They need to get as many letters from us. And a letter to an elected official represents a certain number of their constituency. So the more letters that get into them, the better. If a phone call is effective and an email is effective, but a letter they pay attention to. Because obviously somebody took the time to sit down and to write everything out. So take 20 minutes out of your week to write letters to your elected officials, to let them know that this is something that means something to you and that your dollars follow your opinions.
Well, what are you doing right now as an activist to make marriage equality a reality? Or what do you think people could be doing?
I think people need to send letters to Congress, send letters to the president, even though he's probably will just throw them in the garbage. But he needs to understand that we're out here and we exist and we're Americans. We have the same rights that anybody else does.
Is there anything that people can do individually to begin that process from turning over?
Writing your congressman, letting them know that if they vote against things like this, they may cost them a seat. I think it's a lot of it is politics, and people, especially people in the legislatures, tend to vote in ways that they think is going to keep them elected or keep them in power. If they start to realize that taking these sorts of stances or issues is not going to keep them in power, it may start to change their position.
So this is a war that has to be won politically?
I think it has to be won on all fronts, but politically is certain. When we talk about the law, most of the laws are written in the legislature, and in the public opinion, that's where it has to be won.
It's a difficult situation, but I understand a sense of helplessness. But there are things that you can do. You can write letters to television stations. When you see a portrayal of gay and lesbian, positive portrayal I've been writing to Oprah for years now, and she has more and more, I'm sure not in response to my letters, but more and more, she's getting more gay inclusive and trans inclusive shows. And it's very interesting to see Oprah reaches millions of people. And here she is talking about how a 13-year-old girl knew that she was gay or knew that she was in the wrong gendered body in front of her 40 million viewer audience. And people are seeing that, and she's doing it in a really positive and open way. Let these people know. If you see a negative portrayal, call and tell them, look, I have made a list of your sponsors, and I will stop using these sponsors or buying products from these sponsors unless you correct what you have done. Let them know that you're not just sitting back, because I think a lot of people feel exactly what you said. I think a lot of people feel a sense of helplessness. And that, unfortunately, turns to apathy. If you actually just say, you know what, I'm worth 20 minutes a week. I'm going to write every week to my representative and to my state senator. And then I'll write to the federal senator, to Hillary Clinton and Charles Schumer, to my federal representative, Gerald Nadler, and say, this is personally mine. And to say, this is what I feel, this is what I believe, and do you support this? And actively go after them. It really is amazing. You don't think that it's making a difference, but it does. Because when I do it, and you do it, and we get tens of thousands of other people to start doing it, they pay attention. That's the way politics works.